Well, hey everybody, Andy Cavernan here with another Cornerstone Connection Daily Devotional. I wonder, do you ever stop and sort of reflect on your life and ask yourself, you know what, am I being as productive as I could be? Maybe in your job, you have regular reviews with your boss and you talk about your productivity, and sometimes your boss gives you some suggestions for how you could be more productive there. Or maybe in your home, maybe you think about your kids and you wonder, is there more that I could do that would produce better results with my kids that would help them to flourish more in their education or in their pursuit of sports or just in their general livelihood. Maybe you think about productivity in terms of what you do around your house, like your landscaping or the different chores, and that matters to you, and you wonder, how can I be more productive in this? Maybe you think about that in terms of your spiritual life. What does it look like to be productive spiritually? And one of the terms that we often use to describe productivity from a spiritual standpoint is the term fruit. And maybe you've heard it referenced like that before, but there's fruit born of a spiritual life that is healthy and that is vibrant. In fact, Jesus talks about this in John 15:5. He says, actually starting in verse 4, he says, "Abide in me and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit by itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me." So Jesus is saying you can't bear fruit unless you abide in Him, that you're connected to Him, that you're going to Him as the source of your productivity. He goes on, he says, verse 5, "I am the vine, you are the branches. Whoever abides in me and I in him, he it is that bears much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing." Now, I love that concept, and of course this is a famous verse in the New Testament. Whoever abides in me and I in him, he it is that bears much fruit. Of course we want to bear fruit spiritually. There's so much good in that we can think of. To bear fruit spiritually means that we're contributing to the kingdom, that we're representing Jesus to those around us. Who doesn't want to bear fruit spiritually? But I think sometimes where we get fuzzy, maybe where we get lost a little bit, is in this idea of what does it mean to abide in Jesus? What does it mean to abide in Him? And sometimes, perhaps rightly so, we have a notion that abiding in Jesus means having a vibrant prayer life. It likely is that, no doubt. Abiding in Jesus means reading Scripture. That's part of it, no doubt. Abiding in Jesus means going to church or our growth group or whatever kind of fellowship opportunities that we have. Well, that's part of it. Maybe it's listening to a podcast or Christian music or whatever. All those things play in, but it's interesting as we read on in John chapter 15, I think we get some clues. In fact, one clue in particular that I want to point out today that helps us to understand what it means to abide in Jesus. So he goes on, verse 6, "If anyone does not abide in me, he's thrown away like a branch and withers, and the branches are gathered, thrown into the fire and burned. If you abide in me, and my words abide in you, ask whatever you wish, and it'll be done for you." Again, a lot of good things about abiding here, but still, what does it mean to abide? He says, "By this my Father is glorified, so that you bear much fruit, and so prove to be my disciples. As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Abide in my love." Again, all good things. What does it mean to abide? Well, here we go. Verse 10. "If you keep my commandments, you will abide in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in His love. These things I have spoken to you, that my joy may be in you, and that your joy may be full." Friends, isn't it fascinating? What Jesus says is abiding in Him and abiding in His Father is to keep His commandments. Verse 10, "If you keep my commandments, you will abide in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in His love." Friends, sometimes we overthink what it means to abide, what it means to be connected to Jesus. At a basic level, what it means to be connected to Jesus is to obey Jesus. Abiding is obeying. And perhaps you're not sure what that means. Well, that's where Scripture reading and going to church and all those things come in. But at a basic level, we tend to know what it means to obey Jesus. What did Jesus say are the greatest and most important things? He said to love God with all heart, soul, mind, and strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself. That's what it means to obey Jesus. And so today, if you're wondering, how do I bear fruit in my spiritual life? Abide in Jesus. That means obeying Jesus. That means loving God, loving your neighbor. Let's be that kind of people today who abide in Jesus by obeying him. God bless you, friends. Have a great day.